For centuries, knowledge has been hidden in plain sight across the sands of time. Whispers of lost civilizations, cryptic symbols, and forbidden histories have been erased or concealed. What if the truth was never lost, but hidden? Welcome to Eye of Ancient Mysteries, where the past speaks and the future listens. Sit back, open your mind, and prepare to uncover the untold secrets of our world. Let the journey begin now. Conspiracy Hitler was the first to send a shuttle to the moon. The Nazis declare it their possession and turn their eyes toward other planets to create the 1,000-year Reich. From the pitch black sky above the northern edge of the ocean of storms, a mysterious object emerges, which at first might be mistaken for a falling star. But it draws closer, revealing the silhouette of an enormous water tower-like structure. A casual observer on the moon could distinguish a giant sphere with portholes, beneath which are the fuel tanks. As it descends, the 50-meter-tall construction kicks up a mist of dust. Then several figures in spacesuits climb down a long ladder. One of them is holding a flag with a black swastika on a blood-red background. The Third Reich declares the moon its possession. The year is 1976. The United States may have been preparing to celebrate its 200th anniversary, but all that remains of it is a miserable sliver of territory east of the Rocky Mountains, which has merged with former Canadian provinces into the North American Confederation. The rest of the planet is almost entirely under the control of Nazi Germany and the Japanese Empire. There are reports that the Japanese had planned an attack on the U.S. base at Pearl Harbor shortly after Germany and its European satellites struck the Soviet Union, but to the Americans' fortune, they reconsidered. Still, the U.S. is forced to enter the war when Great Britain falls. But by then the Nazis already possess intercontinental rocket-powered bombers. At the turn of the 1940s and 1950s, the German engineer Wernher von Braun, the first to develop liquid fuel rockets for military purposes, proposes using them for space travel. He manages to persuade the party bosses to allocate part of their immense resources to realize his childhood dream, especially since work on space programs over time would lift the German war machine into a new orbit. Even during the Second World War, enormous space mirrors were designed, capable of focusing sunlight to incinerate entire cities. A system for observing events across the vast Reich would also be useful. A plan for manned flights to other planets immediately emerges. The phrase, 1,000-year Reich, acquires a new meaning. Moreover, there is no need to compete with other political systems, so the scientists perform their work methodically, creating a reliable, well-prepared infrastructure for space transport. The first task is the development of heavy rockets. At the same time, and with rather modest resources, small suborbital craft are created for rapidly deploying Wehrmacht forces anywhere on Earth. Several trips into space are needed for the construction of an orbital station. The rotating torus, 50 meters in diameter, creates artificial gravity and can house 80 astronauts, all in accord with von Braun's plans. The brilliant engineer perfectly executes the next stage of his program, as well the construction of massive interplanetary ships assembled at this space station, whose design does not need to account for launching from Earth. The only thing von Braun does not anticipate is the use of nuclear energy, which greatly simplifies the task. The first flight to the Moon carries 50 people who spend a month and a half there. They live in a 5-story sphere above the fuel tanks. The piloted craft is accompanied by an equally large remotely controlled station, which descends at the lunar North Pole and deploys several rovers capable of traveling 400 kilometers autonomously, while the station itself becomes a scientific base similar to those in Antarctica. In the 16th century, Hernan Cortes set out to conquer the New World with 11 ships. In the same manner, according to von Braun's vision, 11 craft and 70 astronauts set out for Mars. The scale of this operation can be judged by the fact that assembling the ships in low Earth orbit requires around 300 launches of cargo rockets. They carry vast reserves in case of unforeseen circumstances. Unlike Cortes' expedition, this 3-year journey is not one way. All this is achieved thanks to the engineering might of Great Germany and the political stability of its dictatorial regime. Humans set foot on Mars already in the 20th century, and in the next they begin to colonize other planets. If you are still puzzled, dear readers, let us clarify. This is fiction based on the plans of von Braun, who moved to the United States in 1940, where he contributed to the development of American rocketry and indeed created the heaviest rocket in history, the Saturn V. It remains the most powerful and largest rocket ever built. Then came the Skylab station and the fatal signature from President Nixon. Only now, decades later, NASA is once again returning to the idea of rockets with enormous payload capacity.